Hey everyone, it's Sports Entertainment with the latest news in pro wrestling. Today we're covering Eddie Kingston's suspension, Thunder Rosa's heat with AEW locker room, AEW's chief legal officer sending a warning to WWE and more. But before that, be sure to click that subscribe button so you can stay in the loop with all the great content. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to click on the thumbs up icon down below. Eddie Kingston suspended from AEW. You may or may not have noticed that Eddie Kingston has been absent from AEW television lately. According to reports from Voices of Wrestling and the Wrestling Observer, that's because Kingston was quietly suspended by AEW, although as of now, the suspension has already been fulfilled. Reports state that the reason for the suspension was because of a physical altercation backstage between Kingston and Sammy Guevara. The two reportedly had some issues for a while, and things finally erupted when Sammy spoke about Kingston's physique, causing the latter to start the fight. Plans have been set in place to have Kingston versus Sammy at All Out. A segment featuring Sammy accepting Kingston's challenge for All Out was taped for last week's Rampage, but was never aired. It's unclear as of now as their match at All Out is still a go. In a statement, Kingston confirmed the news of his suspension and took full responsibility for what happened. Thunder Rosa has heat with AEW locker room. In more AEW news, it looks like the current AEW Women's Champion is currently in hot water. Voices of Wrestling reports that Thunder Rosa has a lot of heat with AEW locker room lately. The report goes on to state that Rosa has legitimate heat with Britt Baker. The two have been described as being enemies behind the curtain. It was also reported that Jamie Hayter has beef with Rosa as well, after Rosa broke Hayter's nose during a match. The AEW Women's Champion was previously accused of sandbagging in matches, giving her opponents a hard time to work with. Rosa is currently injured as revealed on the last episode of Dynamite and will be out for an indefinite amount of time. The injury changed the plans for the women's title at All Out. Instead of Rosa defending against Toni Storm, a fatal foray between Storm Baker Hayter and Shida will take place on the pay-per-view to crown an interim women's champion. Hopefully Thunder Rosa is able to recover soon, and if the reports are indeed true, here's to hoping the issues are resolved as soon as possible. Yampang addresses reports of dissatisfaction with AEW. Yampang has been making a lot of news lately, the latest of which was losing in under 5 minutes to Jon Moxley at the latest episode of Dynamite in a highly anticipated match for the undisputed AEW World title. Last week, Punk made the rounds when he reportedly went off script to call out Hangman Adam Page in a promo on Dynamite. From there, a story started developing stating a lot of issues has been developing with AEW talent backstage. Punk was reported to be unhappy lately in AEW. Punk addressed the rumors during a recent interview with Sports Illustrated. In the interview, he dismissed the rumors and stated that he loves AEW for giving him a second chance in wrestling. He also called out anyone in the locker room who has an issue with him, stating that his door is always open for discussions. And what about Punk calling out Hangman on last week's Dynamite? Well, Punk also implied that his call out was actually a work, saying that his job is to sell tickets to AEW live events. Whether it was indeed a work or a shoot on Hangman remains uncertain. John Cena headed to AEW? As unlikely as it sounds, the rumor is actually making some noise on social media following the latest episode of Dynamite. After Jon Moxley squashed CM Punk for the undisputed AEW World title, Mox cut a promo backstage where he called himself the guy in professional wrestling. In the same promo, he also uttered the lines "My Time Is Now," which is the title of Cena's theme song and one of Cena's many catchphrases. This triggered speculation on Twitter that Cena may be headed to AEW and might even show up at All Out in Chicago. CM Punk also referenced Cena in his opening segment during last week's Dynamite. In that promo, he stated that Jon Moxley won't be the first John he'll defeat in Chicago for a world title. This is in reference to the legendary match between CM Punk and John Cena for the WWE Championship at Money in the Bank in 2011, which was held in Chicago. There are currently no reports of the C Nation leader moving to AEW, and although it looks unlikely given Cena's dedication to WWE, it's apparent that Mox vs Cena is a matchup that a lot of fans want to see. WWE is interested in bringing back Bronson Reed. Triple H has been bringing back a lot of former WWE talent lately, and looks like the game wants to bring back more. The latest name being thrown around that WWE is interested in bringing back is Jonah, who was also known as Bronson Reed during his time in WWE. Bronson Reed was a popular talent during the final months of NXT's Black and Gold era. He was also a former North American champion, defeating Johnny Gargano in a steel cage for the title. He was released in August of last year as part of WWE's budget cuts. His release came as a shock as he's one of NXT's best performers at the time. Currently, Jonah is performing in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He notably defeated Okada during the G1 climax in what has been described as a huge upset. Jonah is currently signed to New Japan, but it's no secret that he's one of the hottest talents out there. If WWE is able to pull Jonah back, he will be a great addition to the roster that's already being revamped by Triple H. Survivor Series pre-sale tickets have sold out. Survivor Series this year is set to take place in in Boston. Although it's one of WWE's biggest pay-per-view events, recent editions have failed up to live up to this reputation. But with Triple H now heading WWE's creative, it looks like expectations are high for the event. Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer reports that the pre-sold tickets for Survivor Series have already sold out. Meltzer also noted that WWE has now sold out its events this fast in a long time. Fans are hoping that this Survivor Series this year will once again feature talents from NXT, as it did in 2019, which produced a great pay-per-view. But if we have to base on the logo for this year's Survivor Series, it appears that the event will only feature Raw going against SmackDown. It remains to be seen if NXT will be eventually included in the event. And finally, AEW's chief legal officer sends a warning to WWE. Before last night's edition of Dynamite, PW Insider reported that AEW President Tony Khan held a meeting with talent to discuss a variety of topics, including talent relations and development. The report also states that AEW Chief Legal Officer Mega Park emailed WWE co-CEO Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan. The email warned WWE not to tamper with AEW talent. As previously stated, Triple H has been on a roll in expanding WWE's roster. In relation to this, WWE has contacted former talent, whether they be free agents or currently signed to other promotions. One of the wrestlers apparently contacted by WWE is Chris Jericho. Jericho himself hinted at this when he replied to a fan's tweet. He even used the hashtag tampering, which was used by Fightful in the report on WWE contacting a top AEW star for a possible return. With AEW's upper management directly emailing WWE co-CEOs, it's clear that AEW is firm and aggressive in protecting its roster. And that's it for today's news roundup. Thanks for watching. See you again next time for Sports Entertainment News. What do you think of the news for this week? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, leave us with a thumbs up and don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more great content. Until next time.